Welcome to RAVS Python programming language. Um, okay, before starting to the course, I would like to start on with a quote. Nothing is impossible. Everyone can do anything, and if you feel you can do it, it is possible. So, coming to Python programming. Why is it named as Python? Basically, the programmer who developed Python programming was a very great fan of Monty Python Flying Circus comedy show. It's a Dutch show, and because of that, he named it as Monty Python, but it came into existence as Python. So that's about Python um, programming naming. And it was actually a holiday project for Mr. Rosum, and it was actually implemented on 1989 but came to market on 1991, whereas Java was released on 1995, as you all know. That means Python is already invented by then. So there are different versions of Python. So the Python versions, including 1.x, it was the initial release of when it was released in 1991. Python 1 was released, and Python 2 was released with some features and improvements like the garbage collector and the support for Unicode. And then Python 3 was released on 2008 with improved syntax and better performance. Some of the key differences between Python 2 and Python 3 would be changes of the print statement and use of the Unicode strings and changes in the division operator as well. So what is this? Why am I speaking a lot about Unicode? What is an Unicode? Unicode is Python's let me brief it with you. Python's string type uses the Unicode standard for representing characters, which lets Python programs work with all these different possible characters. It is a specification that aims to list every character used by human languages and give each character its own unique code. So the Unicode specification are continually revised as new languages pop in. It just yeah, revised and revised. So it's just Unicode is something that which gives a kind of unique code for each character. That's about Unicode, and you can even browse about Unicode. There was a documentation available in python.org. You can search there about Unicode if you want to concentrate more onto Unicode, because Unicode is something that if you are going further with machine learning or artificial intelligence, there you need to know a more brief about Unicodes. So now, is Python free or we need to pay something? Is it so? For that answer, Python is an open source. It is maintained by a charity, and it has a very good, wonderful community where you can post any kind of questions, and there are people who can help you out in a very well mannered way. But unfortunately, as it was supported by a charity, there is no customer support, so you need to depend on these communities. But I think personally, you no need to ask anyone any kind of help, because Python language is such a great language that you no need to depend on someone else. That's the reason I say, for any beginners, if you want to try out coding, if you're thinking about coding, go with Python. Because if you write a code like 2 plus 2, the machine can understand it. You're asking for an addition of 2 plus 2, and it will give you the answer as 4. That intelligent the software is. If you consider compare with the other languages, you need to provide a particular syntax. So let me explain it before. So Python consists of three modules: programming, which considers basic and advanced, and libraries and frameworks. So the question comes, why Python? So Python works on different platforms. There is no specific platforms for Python. It works in Windows, Macintosh, Linux, Raspberry Pi, etc., and many things. Python has a simple syntax which is similar to English language. So Python has syntax that allows developers to write programs with few lines of code, which is a very good thing. You know, if I am already a developer, I was an ABAP developer, so when comparing with ABAP and Python, I should not compare. But the thing is, it's a different scenario. But you know, for a single initialization of variables, we need to write at least minimum of 10 to 15 code lines of code in ABAP. But in Python, I think it's just one or two lines. I mean, you don't need to. I mean, you can. It's that simple. So I will explain you in the future classes. I mean, like how easier you can make it, and you can easily write a very big project in a very less lines of code. So that's about that. And coming to Python, it runs on an interpreter system, meaning the code can be executed as soon as it is written. This means prototyping can be very quick. Python can be treated in a procedural way, an object oriented way, and a functional way. As if you compare with Java, it's an object oriented language, and that's how. But Python, it can be treated where however you can write in a procedural way, or an object oriented way, or a functional way. So what can Python do? Python can be used on a server to create web applications. It can be used alongside software to create workflows. It can use to connect to database systems. It can also read and modify files. It can use to handle big data and perform multiple complex mathematics as well. It can be used for rapid prototyping and for production ready software development, whatnot. So the main question for a fresher or any experienced Python programmer, this one is this Python syntax compared to other programming languages is the generic question they ask. So why? I mean, why? We need to know about the syntax is because Python was designed for readability and has some similarities to the English language with the influence from mathematics, which is different from the other programming languages. The other programming languages are entirely concentrated on the syntax. The syntax is very important, and this syntax of Python is very readable. I mean, you can memorize it like it's a mathematical. It's like if it we have a mathematical function, we already knew it. It is like that. Python uses new lines to complete a command, as opposed to other programming languages, which you often use semicolons or parentheses. Python relies on indentation using whitespace to define scope, such as scope of loops, functions, and classes. Other programming languages often use curly braces for this purpose. And that's about Python syntax. And now, before continuing to open the Jupyter notebook, which we write the Python code, I would like to do another video on how to download the Jupyter notebook into our laptops, into our systems, and the installation process of the Python. So I will just show you a glimpse of the code regarding the variables. So let me go into that. So this is how a Jupyter notebook would be. So I have prepared some class for you guys. So this is something a welcome, like print hello friends. This is how we do. So when we write the code like this is commenting, and print hello friends, this is how we write the function, and then if we execute it, there you go. So I will explain you in depth in the next class. Thank you so much. And have a nice day and keep smiling and never forget nothing is impossible.